Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. It's 1 year to the day that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer started his reign as Manchester United manager. Has it been good? Has it been bad? Has it been somewhere in between? What is that future vision? Is it blurry? Is it crystal clear? We'll be talking about that as well, and you, as always, will be making your mind up. So let's start off. A year ago, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came into Manchester United. Yes, he got the full-time job in March, but let's be honest, his best period at the club was, without question for me, and for many of you, I'm sure, that first 3 months at Manchester United. Couldn't stop winning. The holding midfielder with Matic, the box-to-box tenacity of Herrera, and Pogba with that box-to-box ability, but licensed to be more attacking, and that front three of Lingard, Martial and Rashford interchanging, fluid. And, the defence wasn't as strong as it probably is now, but that was United's best team under Ole, and for 3 months it was brilliant. Some people say that then we got found out. Some people then say that Ole got the job and sort of bottled it a little bit, went a little bit too defensive, and we fell off quite badly from March through to probably the start of December. It's been up and down like a yo-yo, inconsistent, but never gone back to that midfield three that had the one holding midfielder and the two box-to-box and the front three fluidity. We're close to it, some would say, but I would say in some ways we're miles away from it. If you look at that game against Colchester, we're at home, you're playing Colchester, they're going to park the bus, and we're still playing two holding midfielders. Pereira playing, brilliant performance from Pereira with his long balls, Matic next to him. Two holding midfielders. This 4-2-3-1 is the way that Ole wants to play. And the invention of the number 10 that may as well be invisible. So, look, I really liked Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and the way he played in those first 3 months. Very different 4-3-3 to what we're doing now, with that one holding midfielder, two box-to-box, no number 10, and a front three that changes around. What we play now is a 4-2-3-1, where there's this number 10 position that Pereira, Mata and Lingard have been unable to grasp. Gomez has not been given an opportunity. Two holding midfielders. When we've seen Pogba playing there, he's playing way too deep. And the front three, look, I think Martial's been brilliant this season. I think Ole deserves a lot of credit for that. Rashford as well. The right side, James, not really his position. So I think for me, whether it's a good or a bad point on this one, I think it's a bad. I think that the reason Solskjaer is struggling and United are struggling is because he's moved to a totally different formation that was successful for him in the 3 months. And whether that was found out or not, the new formation doesn't work. We're playing with two holding midfielders, which I don't think doesn't suit Pogba, doesn't suit Pereira. And also, it's overcompensating for money that we spent on the back. And the number 10 position, which is so important if you're going to play a 4-2-3-1. If you don't have a number 10, you end up with what we end up with quite a lot, which is a starved front three of Martial and Rashford and James. They don't get the service. So for me, that's a bad. He started off well. A year on, I think we're still confused by his tactics. Transfers have been very big. Is this a good or a bad or an in-between? And remember, I think the formation-wise is a bad thing, but transfers you might think that was good. Transfers for me, look, Harry Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, Dan James, all very good signings. We await to see what's going to happen in January. Hopefully Erling Haaland. Ole himself saying after that Colchester game, he's a player we like and we're interested in top players. For me, he's dropping too many hints for this not to work, but you just never know with United. Harry Maguire and the others have been in good signings. So, look, that's the good. The bad is that you'll be surprised at the quality of players we want to come here. Herrera walks out, Fellaini leaves, no one replaced, no midfield. Lukaku goes, Sanchez goes, no strikers brought in. So look, for the good players he's brought in, brilliant. To not bring a midfielder in, to not bring an attacker in the summer has left us very exposed this season. It's only taken one injury to Pogba to leave us threadbare. When Martial was injured, we were threadbare as well. So massively naive going into this season with no midfielders and no attackers. But you know what? On this one, I'm going to say just good. Probably, if it wasn't Christmas time, I'd say question mark. But I'm just going to say just good because I think Wan-Bissaka's been a good signing. Harry Maguire's been a good signing. Dan James has been a good signing. But we should have come in with midfielders. We should have come in with attackers. But I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt of January. I think if I was doing this at the end of January and we don't bring an attacker and midfielder in, I would be saying it's been bad from Ole. But at the moment, the jury's still out, but I'll give him a positive on that. I think it's been good on that. Staying with that, clearing of the deadwood. A lot of people have praised Ole for coming in. He got rid of Lukaku. He got rid of Sanchez. Let's not forget, he got rid of Fellaini within his first month. In that buzz 3 months, that amazing first 3 months where he was getting all those results, he got rid of Fellaini as well. So that's a massive thumbs up from me. Didn't replace him, which we've spoken about. Lukaku, moody, had to go, wasn't the first team player. Sanchez, problematic, loaned out. So they are good removals of the deadwood. Of course, there's always two sides. Phil Jones, Mr. Deadwood, given a 5-year contract. Ashley Young, kept on. I can live with Ashley Young because he's going to go this summer anyway. Mata never should have been kept at the club. We let his contract run down to give him a 2-year contract with an option of the year, and he's been terrible for a year. So that, to me, for all the good work he did getting rid of Fellaini and Sanchez and Lukaku, it's been undone by keeping people like Phil Jones and Juan Mata, who, to be honest, we can't even give Phil Jones game time against AZ Alkmaar or Colchester, which shows what a mistake that's been, and hopefully he will be moved on. And with Juan Mata, I don't get why we kept Juan Mata. I like Juan Mata, I don't care. But again, I would lean towards good on that. There is a reason to say he's been bad. I think the removal of the deadwood is too big a statement because we've retained some of it. But I do think removing Lukaku, Fellaini and Sanchez did remove first teamers that would have been problematic this season. So I would say Ollie's done well on that one. What about the youth? Has he done good or has he done bad there? Because Mason Greenwood, stunning talent. Brandon Williams coming through. All the other players he played out against Astana in Kazakhstan, Lard and Garner and Levitt and everybody that played. Very exciting, and he talks about the youth, and he's spoken about the youth all the way through. I think the jury was out last season when he spoke about the youth but didn't really use them. This season, he has used them. However, what I would say is we've got a situation with Angel Gomez where he should be involved and isn't because he won't sign a new contract. Tahith Chong, the same. And that does concern me a little bit. But having said that, maybe Mason Greenwood should have been played more. I think Mason Greenwood should have started against Everton. He scored 2 goals and get an assist in a game where you win 4-0. And he was fantastic. So, but overall, I think we are seeing a manager, that wants to play the youth. Whether he will do that so much, again, I think the jury's out on this one, and I think some people would say he talks about the youth, but really does he use it enough? The jury's out, but I think so far, after a year, and that's what we're talking about, again, I would give Ollie another tick in the box there. So he's doing quite well. I've given him a tick on the box on transfers. I've given him a tick on the box in really getting rid of the deadwood. Tick in the box on youth. Formation and tactics, not so much so. So I wouldn't say that he's done fantastically well on that. What about his future vision? Manchester United's future vision. There's a lot of focus on this, and after a year, are we any clearer than we were a year ago? I would say we're not. I would say if this was a puddle or a swimming pool, there's a lot of mud gone in it. Some would say it's not brown mud, it's brown something else, but it has become murky. I think in the first 3 months with Ollie, I had a better idea of what the vision was than I do a year on, and that does concern me a bit. After 3 months of Ollie, I was singing Ollie's at the wheel. I was like, he's a fan like us. He gets what the club's all about, which is another positive. But a year on, I think we've moved away from that positive idea of what Ollie was all about to this murky formation and, the inability to break down teams that sit back against us, to be totally focused on a plan A that is just, we're better when we don't have the ball against teams that want to attack us. That is not what we were in them first 3 months. So I think the future vision at United has become a lazy sort of tagline. It's almost like some brands like Coca-Cola, Enjoy, and there's other brands that they have a brand name and then they have a tagline underneath. Manchester United, the vision, the future is ours. Orange used to be the future is bright, isn't it? But yeah, so it's become almost like a cliche that actually doesn't provide much clarity. So for me, that is not good, because we talk about future and I think we hide behind the future when actually a year is quite a long time. The average Premier League manager probably doesn't get 2 years. So Ollie's well over half of what his career could be at United, and there is some confusion there. Hopefully, things can change around that very, very quickly. Another positive or not is the players. I think the players are 100% behind the manager, and I think that is abundantly clear. And whatever you say about Mourinho and Van Gaal, those players were leaking stuff out and they weren't happy, especially under Mourinho. So as the reality is, after 17 games last season, Jose Mourinho was sacked with 26 points. After 17 games, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is firmly backed by the players and the club on 25 points. People say, well, we're only 4 points off the top 4, whereas Mourinho was 12. Well, that's nothing to do with United. We've had a shit start to the season like Mourinho did. If everybody else has dropped points so that we're closest to top 4, then that's lucky for Solskjaer and unlucky for Jose. But the players are on side. That's a good thing. My only concern with this, and it is a good thing, and I have to say this is a good thing, I'm not turning it into a bad thing, my reservation would be if these players are behind Ole and they're still inconsistent, that reflects badly on the players. These are players that would want to run through brick walls for Ole but consistently fail. So that reflects on the players, not on Ole. And the other thing I want to talk about is the relationship with Ed Woodward. When you think about whether this is a good or a bad thing, a lot of United fans call Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a puppet to Woodward and the club. What I would say in defence of Ole is he is employed by Manchester United Football Club. He is in his dream job. He was managing Mulder just over a year ago. He was asked to come in as an interim manager at Manchester United, and he probably swam from Norway. This is a dream job for him. It would be a dream job for us. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer comes over, does well, gets offered the job, and he takes the job basically on, yes, please, can I have the job? He's not going, I'll take that job if you are. He's not Michael Caine either. I will take that job if you give me a pair of glasses. I will take that job. I will take that job, Batman. I will take that job, Batman. I will not bury another Batman. I will take that job, Ed Woodward, if you give me £200 million to spend and you give me free reign on who comes in. And Ole didn't do that. It was, I will take that job. And that's the thing. So I think people who have a go at Ole for being a little bit of a puppet to the club, well, he's employed by the club. He was desperate to take the job. And he's very respectful of that. And he's Mr. Positive, isn't he? So, but I do think, I must admit, I don't think this is a good thing. I would say it's a bad thing because I think that this allows Ole to leave himself exposed. Because if you look at some of the comments that we've had over the last year, he slated fans online. He did do that. That was done in an interview. He also said, you'll be surprised at the quality of players that come into this club in May last summer, and we weren't surprised. He also said that money was available in the summer, but the right players weren't. So he took the blame from the club because let's not forget, when that transfer window closed at the start of August, we all said it's not Ole's fault, it's the club. They've let him down again. £60 million net spend. They've not brought midfielders. They've not bought attackers. And we were unhappy, but we were happy to stick with Ole and know that it's Woodward and everyone again. But when Ole comes out with, well, the money was there, I just didn't spend it, you're like, whoa, Ole, what are you doing? What are you doing? We're sticking up for you. We've got our ready-made anger to point at the club because they haven't spent money, and you're saying you had the money but you didn't spend it. Incompetence alert. So I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because maybe he doesn't understand the dynamics, because you don't have to back the board. A lot of United fans don't like the board, but you don't have to slate them either. But I think Ole, in his eagerness to please, does come out quite a lot with comments that back the board, back Woodward. Oh yeah, they're great, this, that, and the other. Well, but we've been here longer than you, Ole. We've seen this board over a long period of time, even under Sir Alex. They're not a good board. They bought the club on debt. They want money in their pocket. They're not here focused on success on the pitch. You don't have to be so positive about them. And I think sometimes this is a negative against Ole because Ole's at the wheel. We all love Ole. He's a legend of the club. But I think he tarnishes his managerial career a little bit sometimes by being, some of the stuff he comes out doesn't end up being true. And he obviously is very focused on, promoting the club and protecting Woodward and co, which I don't think he needs to do. And I think sometimes that's seen as a negative. But all in all, a year of Solskjaer. We've been through a few topics there, his formations, whether that's been good or bad, and you can go through all yours. You can talk about transfers. Has it been good or bad overall? Is his use of the youth good or bad? Are his tactics good or bad? Is his relationship with Woodward good or bad? Removal of the deadwood good or bad? There's a few topics for you to talk about there. But for me, overall, a year in for Ole, the things that endure for me are, one, we've got an exciting couple of months coming up. You look at that first month of January, we're going to be playing Arsenal in the league, which will hopefully show if we can fight for top 4. Not because we beat Arsenal, but just by then we'll have had enough points to see where we are at. FA Cup against Wolves, will we win that, or are we out straight away? And then Man City in the Carabao Cup, are we going to get to Wembley and hopefully win a trophy? Europa League to come in February, January transfer window. There's an exciting period coming for United, and to review this year is easy, but also you don't want to jump too far either way, because that next month you know, it could go very bad or it could go very well. And there's a multitude of things that can happen there, like transfers, etc. So, but my general feeling on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first year, there has been opportunities for us to say that's been good, and we've done it on this video. But I do feel that first 3 months offered so much, and a year later, 9 months after that first 3 months, I'm like more confused than I was after the first 3 months. I think the change in the formation, this new formation doesn't work for me. I think it works if a team attacks you, but it doesn't work when we're trying to break teams down, which is odd. United, I don't think United suits having a number 10, by the way. We just never really have. So it surprises me why Ole wants to do that. But it's going to be interesting. Ultimately, do I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a manager that's going to win Premier League titles for United? No. That's a firm no. Am I Ole out? No. Is there still story to be written? Yes. And I think over the next 4 to 5 months, we're going to see that. Not 45, 4 to 5. I do think he will be our manager in August next year. I think he may still be our manager in a year's time. So we may be saying Ole review after 2 years. But for now, it's a suck it and see. It's a wait and see. And I think he's done a relatively... If I was marking him out of 10, I would give Ole a 6.5. Average is 6, 6.5. The first 3 months, I'd give him virtually a 10. The last 9 months, I would give him a 5. So for me, he probably deserves a little bit higher, but I'm not comfortable saying he's been better than average. I think he's been slightly better than average across everything that he's done. I think at the end of the season, we'll have a much clearer picture. But I'm happy with Solskjaer in charge of United at the moment. I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was like, I'm not. The jury is still out, but I'm just hopeful. I'm hopeful that January will deliver. I think we're going to get big tests over Christmas and into the new year. And I think we're about to find out over the next 2 to 3 months whether he can come back from what has been a pretty tough 6 months after a great first 3. Thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video. Lots for you to get involved in there. I want to see your manager rating for Ole over the last year. And also go through some of them topics I've discussed. Has it been good or bad on those? Talk about transfers, youth, results, formation, clearance of the deadwood, relationship with Woodward. Some topics for you there to just sort of list good or bad next to them. Speak to you at 8 o'clock tonight live. I'll speak to you soon.